Information comes in many forms. You have to understand this. It does not only come in electronic form. Ergo, it does not mean that information security is IT security. Also, let's make it clear. Information security is not IT. It is a holistic, enterprise-wide practice. So, lahat kayo is on the same boat. You need to all be proactive in safeguarding and protecting yung information ninyo. You know it is important, you know it is critical, you know it is sensitive, then you should be proactive in protecting yung respective information that you are using to do good business. Cybersecurity, yan ang IT security. When you say cybersecurity, IT talaga yon. May cyber naman kasi. But information security ang nanay, the parent practice. It encompasses everything related to information. Maging cyber security, maging data privacy, other related information disciplines na kailangan ina-apply to your organization. Ito ang nanay. It covers everything. Kaya nga pag magko-comply kayo sa Data Privacy Act, sinasabi ng mga nagtuturo niyan, di mag-implement kayo ng ISO 27001, mag-ISMS kayo. Sigurado yan. You will comply with the requirements of the data privacy. Ganun kadali. It's a good recommendation. Yung mga nagpe-payment card security dyan, organizations who process credit card information, they will be required to follow standards based on payment card. But if you read the standards for the payment card industry, they are derivatives from the ISO 27001. So sa madaling salita, ito na yung nanay na practice. If you have no idea how to put up an ISMS, pick up an ISO 27001. It is a good guide in establishing an ISMS for your organization. Why is it important nowadays to have an ISMS? See, maraming risk sa inyong organization. Yung tinatawag na risk landscape ninyo, malaki yun. There are a lot of threats out there na walang ginawa na saktan lang ang inyong organization, kaliwat kanan, for a variety of different nature and magnitude. Ngayon, dahil sa pandemic, and pandemic is a risk, so huwag niyo kalimutan yung part na yon. Pandemic is a risk. Yan, kasama yan sa dapat pagprotektahan ni information security. The idea of the new business approach of doing work at home. Dati, you don't work at home. And everybody understands that working at home introduces a new set of threats. Because ngayon, what is important na ginagawa mo within the organization, something that you believe that should be done in the organization lang. People not knowing what you're doing, what you're performing, what documents you're handling. Ngayon, you take it home. And who is at home? Family members, friends, visitors, and totally an unsecure environment kung saan whoever ang interested, damputin yung information ninyo. Kayang damputin na yan because there is no physical security when it comes to work at home. So maraming risk na in-introduce yan. You need to consider also na yan ay kasama sa information security. You need to protect information regardless o kung nasaan yan. Now, our current situation did provide us new threats, and that doesn't mean na okay lang to firefight every day. This is given to you as an opportunity to plan and prepare and then try to prevent best effort capability ninyo from these threats happening sa inyo and your organization. Remember, I mentioned best effort and capability. Hanggang sa kaya lang ninyo. We do not look into anything ideal sa mundo ng ISO. Walang ganun. Walang, dapat ganun tayo, but you don't actually have it in the first place. Yung kaya lang ninyo, ito lang ang kaya ko. The best effort. Unless you have the resources as required by an ISO, na maibigay in order to establish the required controls to ensure that the business continually operates as it should be. Now, for most people, challenging implementation of the ISMS, most people don't even know how to start one. A lot of people says, oh, I know what information security is, and they just put up an antivirus, get a firewall, and probably pagbabawal nila USB, and they claim meron na silang ISMS. This is untrue. Those are just information security controls. Una mo, kulang na nga yung controls. Pangalawa, there is no management practice on top of the controls, ensuring that the controls are continually effective for you. Sino sa inyo actually ask the question na, yung ating antivirus ba is working for us? Did we buy the right product? Is it catching the required viruses na dapat hulihin? Has anybody of you even asked that question? Wala. Rare yan, rare. Para dun sa mga nag-iisip na tanungin kung maganda takbo natin. Oo naman. ISO 27001 is that document, that publication, best practice for establishing, the requirements for establishing an information security management system is what people go to in order to implement a suitable and effective practice for information organization niyo. So if you have no idea what to do, what controls are needed, how to manage the entire security program that you have established, then pick up a 27001. And that is how most people adopt a new practice. Now, we're not saying this is totally suitable sa inyo. The ISO did give you the opportunity na kung hindi bagay, wag niyong pilitin. Pero if by recommendation, they say the requirements do fit your organization, then put it up because it is best practice nga to all organizations globally. Agreed na yan. So, pick up an ISO 27001 if you want to have information security management system. Oh, cases na hindi sila nakakapagtayo ng ISMS is because, first and foremost, overwhelming yung content. Yes. Unlike the ISO 9001, for some of you na meron na, the requirements of 27001 is daunting. Ang daming laman. There's 114 control objectives that you need to put up in order to comply with the requirements of 27001. And it does not state that you actually end up having 114 security controls. No. This is just the objectives of the security expectations of the organization. How many controls? Depends on what you have in your organization. You might even end up with 400 security controls. Brand new ones, di ba? And not all of them are technical. IT is part of ISMS, but it is not totally ISMS. So you'll have management policies. Yes.
Yeah, good thing you mentioned that because most of them who are joining this program are actually not coming from IT. No, they may not also be having some IT background. So just to clarify, this ISO 27001 can actually be spearheaded by a department or by a person outside of IT. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Who is in charge of information security should be a person who understands the organization, open-minded, praning in nature, and can work with everybody within the organization across, not under. You don't see information security under a department. It should work across. The practice requires that information security has a direct line of reporting to top management for visibility about risks and impact to the organization, the harm that threats can cause the organization. Yes, it has a direct line. So the authorization must be provided to the governing team. So yes, Jong is correct about that. Now, information security does protect information. But in what ways should it protect, or how can you benefit from this protection? You see, information security addresses risk, and that's risk in any form that deters, impairs, disrupts, harms the business operations. That can be anything from loss of information to loss of the entire facility. Because the facility, your office, is an information processing facility. So it encompasses a lot of threats. You see, if ISMS is implemented properly, then definitely it will help improve operational effectiveness because it will remove, address operational risk. So everything will run smoothly and effectively. If everything runs smoothly and effectively, it will have greater cost effectiveness and reduce loss and wastages. Tulad ng overtime. Overtime is a waste. Is it necessary? Dapat hindi. Why did you overtime? Because something happened that should not happen, kaya ka na pa-overtime. Ayaw ni information security yan. Because sumasama yung information flow. Flow, di ba? Tumagal, humaba. Hindi na required, hindi na necessary, pinahaba. Naabala pa yung additional resources. Information security also helps you address unnecessary costs, not only through wastages, but including legal compliance. If information security is well implemented, it will prevent any risk from harming you. Therefore, it provides greater resilience. And ultimately, it also helps you with enhanced reputation, marketing advantage. Clients, customers, people you serve will have more trust and confidence in your organization. That is why you need ISMS. It covers everything, helps everybody and all of your management systems expectations. In the end, the organization, you will have peace of mind. Any questions with this?
So Ted, just going back to their QMS, because most of them are implementing QMS, EMS, OSHAs. I'm putting myself here on their shoes, myself here on their shoes. Maybe they're thinking, how can ISMS help secure their documented information? What do you think?
Oh yeah, true. How? QMS produces a lot of information. Hard copy and soft copy. Pareho yan.
Yes, especially those implementing electronic documentation, di ba? Can ISMS also cover yung mga manual documentation ng QMS? Will this be applicable as well?
Definitely covers all realms. It protects both sides of the realms, tangible and intangible, regardless of form. Information security ensures that if this is important to the organization, they will put up controls to make sure that it is provided at all times, that its integrity is kept, and its levels of confidentiality is kept. So it doesn't matter what form it is. Okay, so this is how it can help QMS.
That's good. So regardless of whether the documentation of their QMS or EMS or OSHAs is manual or electronic, they can definitely make use of this ISO 27 in securing their documented information.
True, yes. Controls may span from ensuring that you store in a secure location confidential files, or it could even include technical controls such as ensuring that your passwords are of a effective format. It can encompass all of those controls, including protecting the actual facility where you work, your environment, your office, your work office, to ensure that no intruders with malice intent comes in your office and destroys how your organization operates smoothly. That's how ISMS should help you.
All right. Thank you, Ted.
Implementing ISMS, if you do read ISO 27001, is not that complicated. There's actually 8 steps. Basic understanding in putting up your information security, what you need, and to prepare you in the future, if you want to go for ISO certification, in complying with the ISO 27001. 8 steps. From project initiation, ISMS definition, risk assessment, risk management, training and awareness, preparing for the certification audit, the actual certification audit, and the promise for continual improvement.
Ted,
So, yes.
yeah, before you proceed to these steps, I just thought that because I think most of our participants also are familiar with data privacy, and data privacy has been the buzzword. And so, how is data privacy and ISMS related? Are they one and the same, or different? Or data privacy is part of ISMS?
Sige. Let us clarify that. The Data Privacy Act or the Data Privacy Law actually is the mandate that an organization protects personally identifiable information. This is only one type of information that the practice wants you to protect. Only personally identifiable information. Like, yung pangalan nyo, yung address nyo, yung edad nyo. Di ba? Personally identifiable information. Yun lang ang hawak ng Data Privacy Act. Pero hindi niya sinabi sa act na yun na protektahan mo yung other information na non-personal information. Di ba? Tulad ng financial, operational, statistical. Wala eh. Other information that the other departments deem important in order to operate effectively and efficiently. Di ba? So, the Data Privacy Act is only one part of the ISMS. As a matter of fact, the ISMS has as a requirement to include data privacy as a control. Diba? So you'll actually end up protecting your data privacy if you implement ISMS. But you protect more than just personally identifiable information. You protect other information that the organization understands is important to the organization.
Okay, thank you, Ted. So one last quick question before you go there. Data privacy is part of ISMS, and data privacy is also, I understand, a law, right? It is a Republic Act that should be implemented by organizations regardless of size. And
yes.
All right.
Although currently our law is kind of limiting, the Data Privacy Act only is applicable to certain organizations with a certain number of manpower. Consideration. Manpower meaning any stakeholder involved, employees or customers. Yes, it is driven by that. You are required to implement by law a GPA program. Now, the ISMS can help you establish that program, and it can be governed by the ISMS itself. Which means the data privacy officer could also be the information security management officer. If you wish to have another officer for that, this data privacy officer must report to the information security officer, who is the head of the entire security program.
So mas malaki yung scope ng ISMS, in other words. Last na talaga. Ted, ang coverage ng data privacy, is it personal information only of people?
No, yung data privacy?
Yes.
Data privacy kasi is personal information lang talaga. That is only the coverage. Literally speaking, not personal information, has nothing to do with the National Commission. Totally nothing at all.
Okay.
Para malinaw yan.
In other words, if I'm the HR manager in my company, I am duty-bound or obliged to protect the personal information of my employees or workers. Is that a correct interpretation on data privacy?
Oo, because you are a processor of personal information.
Okay.
Oo naman.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Ted.
For people who need to have better understanding for the Data Privacy Act, we can actually give you trainings for the data privacy. How to implement and performing all the requirements of the Data Privacy Act. Not that complicated.
Just to clarify that data privacy is only one of the elements of a bigger ISMS.
Yes, there are other elements for ISMS. There's payment card security, there's intellectual property right security, there's a lot of other security requirements.
All right.
There's so much more than just that.
All right. Go ahead. Thank you.
I think, John, there's a question coming from Joanne David.
Yes, go ahead. Maybe
So,
Ah,
okay, so, sir, what about the Freedom of Information Program? How do you incorporate? You should in the first place. And you should consider the content of that Freedom of Information Program. Meaning, if you are working with an organization, you should still comply with that mandate. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is important is you know how to identify which should be under the freedom of information and which should not be under the freedom of information. You need to identify these information for you to provide the proper controls to protect either one. Okay? But you are still and should comply with that program. Yes. But it
Ed,
is, you should incorporate. Yes, yes.
you have another question there from Sir Vincent Flores. Data
Yes.
privacy is broad in nature, hence we have the leeway. What kind of information security measures are they going to implement? Meaning, can they choose which security measures are they going to implement?
Well, if the question is, you have a leeway, what kind? Under the Data Privacy Act, there is a certain degree of leeway. How you want to implement the controls is still up to you. But the Data Privacy Act actually did indicate a few requirements guided by the law on how to perform this, how to implement this, like the privacy notice and like protecting securely storing securely personal information that is deemed critical or sensitive. Yes, they're guiding you with that. They're guiding you. But again, the how to, the details, that's up to you.
Yeah,
They don't go to that down
I,
specifics.
I just realized that talaga na-delay na yung steps mo, Ted. I just thought again that with this pandemic and we're all working from home, not 100% working from the office, and so that also compromises information, right? Because you have to share information to employees working from home. They have to access the information. You have to put this on alert. The
Oh.
more reason you have to make sure that your security, as far as information is concerned, is robust. Is that correct, Ted?
Yes, yes, yes. Teleworking and home work actually introduces a new set of threats.
Mm.
Totally a new set of threats. If you
Mm.
were working sa office ninyo, yung network ninyo is so totally secure. Your IT should be proud of the security measures na nilagay nila doon. Unfortunately, now you're working sa bahay. At
Mm.
hindi nila hawak yung provider ninyo. hindi, hindi nila hawak yung kinakabitan mo. Physically, saan dumadaan yung linya, hindi nila mahawakan yun.
Mm.
Hindi nga nila mahawakan what you run on your computer sa bahay.
Mm.
Hopefully, they can monitor best effort for whatever tool they have. Pero you can still do whatever you want sa bahay. Not knowing na whatever you are doing sa bahay might accidentally cause damage, di ba? Harm to your information, which now, in return, harms your organization. You'll never know that. So, challenging itong times na to. But still, it's still covered by ISMS.
Mm. Sige, Ted. So let us know how we can manage and control that. You still have 2 steps to go.
What?
Go ahead.
Okay. Here we go. Well, tuturo ko lang sa inyo yung steps of implementing muna. Okay? First, you wanna implement ISMS, you need something really important. And the first step is project initiation. Implementing ISMS is not something that is open format. Not, sige, tayo ISMS. O, ikaw, security officer, magtayo ka. And then, 5 years later, hindi pa tapos yung pagkakatayo. Okay? Marami ng ganyan. Okay? Now, it needs to be treated as a project. May deadline, may deliverables, may expectation, may regular meeting. This ensures na yung implementation ninyo is on the same track na pinagplanuhan ninyo na itayo. Pag sinabi natin, dapat end of the year, tapos tayo. Ay talaga, sundan nyo sa project plan na at the end of the year, tapos kayo. And the one thing na importante on top of that pa is senior management and project management, commitment and support. Kung hindi sila magde-dedicate, hindi sila mag-diligently do their responsibilities, hindi nila ibibigay yung mga dapat ibigay para tumakbo yan. Hindi yan tatakbo ng mabuti. Madali yan, ha? Huwag nyo isipin that's impossible. I have encountered companies without top management support for the implementation. It never left the ground. The implementation just never flew. I have met that. Kawawa naman yung security officer, di ba? Hinaya siya to do the job, hindi naman in-approve yung mga pinagagawa niya. Di wala nangyari.
Ed,
Yes.
we mentioned security officer. So meron kang information security officer, in other words, for ISMS. Let me go back quickly to data privacy. when you attend a data privacy, you're required to have a DPO, right? The data privacy officer. How does it match?
So Data Privacy Act, it is required that there is a champion, a responsible person, entity, to take charge of the data privacy programs. Siya in charge doon. Because lahat of security controls for the personally identifiable information, siya may hawak. No? Siya ang coordinating officer. Now, pagdating sa information security, wider ang scope niya. Wider. Pwedeng yung data privacy officer o yung DPO works under the information security officer. Kung saan merong grand plan yung ISMS officer for the entire organization across all information, nature of information na hawak ninyo. Diba? So mag-report siya ron. Kung gusto niyang hiwalay siya, pwede rin. Hindi naman pipilitin yan eh. Pero yun lang ang responsibility ng DPO. But the control sa tinayo ng DPO must be coordinated again with the information security officer. Para makita na sumasang-ayon yung mga controls na nilagay ni data privacy officer, not only sa batas, pero pati sa requirement of the organization. O may nagsisigurado na tama yan. Di ba? Or you can just roll everything to that one person na lang in the end. Nasa sa inyo. It's not that hefty. It's already built in an information security officer's job anyway. So it's not really that hefty, di ba?
All right, thank you, Ted.
Ayun. So like I said, project initiation requires commitment by top management and the team who is given the task of putting up information security in your organization. Now, we need to make sure that the team na kinuha ninyo will work your information security from the ground up. Huwag kayo kumuha ng, ikaw information security officer, sige, pag may time ako, itatayo kayo. Hindi ganun ha. Maglino tayo dyan. Hindi to extra duty. Kung binigay sa yan, nasa kamay mo. Di ba? Na hindi masaktan ang organization if there is any threat that actually does harm or intend to harm your organization, nasa kamay niya. Diba? Tulad itong pandemic na to. Di ba? Malinaw yan. So, let's treat it as a project and get everybody's buy-in to commit and support whatever resources needed to get this ISMS up and running. First on the agenda yon. Okay? Next step, ISMS definition. Sa case ng ISO, it is called scope-centric. You can implement the practice only to a specific scope or to the entire organization. For example, pwede kong i-ISMS si HR lang. Or pwede kong i-ISMS si IT lang. So that is for, lalo na sa case ng ISO certification, very important. Clarifying the scope makes it clear sa implementation team mo kung ano lang ang responsibility nila, hanggang saan lang sila. If you say, let us implement ISMS across the entire organization, the head office including 300 regional offices, good luck, madugo talaga yun. Pero, if that is the scope, then that will be the responsibility of the information security officer to ensure that the 300 regional offices, including the head offices actually operating securely. Ilinaw yan sa ISMS definition kung hanggang saan lang ang bakod mo. Because kung ano hindi kasama sa bakod mo, sa labas, hindi na sa iyo yan. It is not your responsibility to protect that. If by agreement by the organization, hindi kasama sa usapan yan. This is important lalo na if you go for ISO certification. Kung ano outside of the scope of the ISO certification, hindi pwedeng i-audit ng auditor. Diba? Malinaw yan. Hindi sila mag-audit na wala sa usapan. So, objective, scope, limits, interface dependencies, exclusions, and organizational context is what and how you define the coverage of the implementation of your ISMS. If you have clarified already your scope, the next step would be performing risk assessments. Do you know how to perform risk assessments? Good question. The Data Privacy Act actually requires you to perform a PIA, di ba? A Privacy Impact Assessment, which is relatively the same as yung kanyang nanay, yung risk assessment. Okay? The risk assessment is where you address all risk, identify all risks sa inyong organization, and then assess kung ano talaga ang mga masasakit at ano ang hindi. Risk assessment gives you a picture of the risk landscape ninyo. Tells sa inyo ano yung mga maaring masamang mangyari sa inyo. Yan. Ayan ang kagandahan nun. The risk assessment is the genesis of your security controls. Your controls actually came from the result of the risk assessment. Kung may risk, magtatayo ka ng control. Kung walang risk, ba't ka naman magtatayo ng control? Diba? Inabala mo lang sarili mo sa wala. So, huwag ka basta-basta magsabing, bawal ang USB. Aba, pag sinabi mo sa auditor yan, sabihin sa ng auditor, ba't mo pinagbawal ang USB? Tanungin ka nun, di ba? Anong dahilan pinagbawal mo yan? What is the risk behind that? Kung hindi mo masagot yan, baka naman in the first place, dapat hindi mo pinagbawal ang USB. Mali mo, ginagamit ng sales and marketing yung USB. Mali mo, ginagamit ng operations team and research team mo yan. Mali mo, importante sa kanila yan. Lalo na kayo work at home ka. Kung kailangan maglipat, baka sa USB mo pa nililipat, pinagbabawal. Ma-challenge ka lang.
Yeah, good thing you raised that point on USB. But in your opinion, what do you think? Is using USB an information security risk for organizations? Kasi gumagamit tayo ng USB.
It is a risk-based decision. Assess the use of the USB or portable media in your organization. Assess it. Iba-iba ang media, hindi yung USB ha. May recordable CDs, may portable hard disk, iba-iba yan. You need to do a risk assessment and see if there are risks at kung ano levels ng risk na yon. But you need to understand, remember earlier, yung scoping, yung definition, if importante pala yung resource na yan to the organization to operate efficiently. Paano kung may isang department na umaasa talaga na ang transfer is by USB? Ba't may pagbabawal? Di hindi sila tatakbo. Di ikaw pa ang nakatulong na hindi tumakbo na mabuti yung department. Ergo, hindi tatakbo na mabuti yung buong kumpanya. Pag-aralan yun. It's a control aspect. It's not pinagbabawal mo, kinokontrol mo lang. Kung anong pwede, anong hindi. Yeah, kinokontrol mo lang naman yun eh.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Ted. Thank you for clarifying that. So they can allow USB if it's low risk, they just have to control it.
Yes. If it's high risk, you can still control it. But your security control must be really good. Di ba? You have to control it kasi high risk na nga eh. Again, it must meet and be within the organizational context. Alamin ninyo kung kailangan kasi yan ng kumpanya o hindi. May alternative, why not? Di ba? Okay. Oh, there's a question. Is there a prescribed risk assessment instrument under ISO 27001? Actually, none. None. Although there is an ISO 27005, which is a publication naman for establishing risk management para sa ISO 27001. You can feel free. It's still high level. High level para malinaw. It doesn't contain details. Diba? So still, it's up to you to design anong magandang risk management approach para sa inyo. So wala naman, di ba? Marami sa internet, mag-google kayo. Yung mga binibentang tools. Note, binibenta, hindi libre. Di ba? Sana libre. Okay. Now, after you perform the risk management, the end result, thank you then, sir. After you perform risk assessment, the end result is now, ayan na risk ninyo. Ayan na levels of risk ninyo. So the next step, let us manage the risk. Ito na yung implementation of security controls. Mag-decide kayo what to do. Ngayon, you have the opportunity to decide what to do about the risk resulting from the risk assessment. You can reduce the risk. Una yan, di ba? Wherein, lalagyan mo ng controls para mabawasan yung sama, sakit, o dalas na mangyayari sa inyo yan. Reduce yan ha. Bawas. Di ba? You can accept the risk. Pwede mo sabihin, kung masunugan tayo, masunog na tayo. Pwede. Di ba? Remember, kailangan ng management approval yan. Okay, lang sa accept na yan. And there is avoidance. Iwas. Iwas. Kung kaharap ninyo yung risk, at pwede naman pala yung iwasan, for whatever action para maiwasan yan, iwasan na lang natin. Hindi ka pa mag-aabalang mag-reduce. And lastly, transfer nyo. Kaya nga may tinatawag na insurance. Kaya nga pag nasunog kayo, di ba, nagpapa-insure kayo, babayaran kayo ng insurance company, yung nawala sa inyo, will be returned sa inyo. Based sa kung ano ang mako-compensate para sa inyong losses. Yun lang yan. Manage the risk. All the controls will come from this stage after performing risk assessment. This is where you find the risk treatment. And therefore, after risk treatment, you will end up having security controls that you rolled out. So dyan ngayon lalabas ka ng mga security policies tulad ng protect your passwords at all time, o di ba, o secure all confidential documents in a secure location. Dyan nalalabas lahat ng policies niyan, including mga technical policies tulad ng configure all firewalls na lahat ng mga ports nila are disabled, only allowed the ones that are enabled. Ganun. Lahat ng policies, technical, non-technical, dyan nanganganak, dyan ang galing, and it's all because may risk. Next step ngayon is after you roll out, you need to ensure people know na meron kang security in place. Training and awareness. Di ba? People need to know na meron ka palang policies na, ay, meron pala tayong password policy. Hindi yung ganun, di ba? Dapat i-roll out ninyo yan. Bigyan nyo ng security awareness sa mga tao. So, the awareness requirement of 27001 is regular. Every year ang refreshers course niyan. Pinaalam ninyo kung ano mga security controls na isinalang ninyo. You teach people about, we have a password policy. Sabi ng ating password policy, 8 characters long, easy to remember, di ba? Store in a safe, do not share, ganon, di ba? O renew every 60 days, o whatever yung policy ninyo. Pinaalam mo sa mga tao yan para maisama nila sa kanilang work habit to consider performing yung expectation ng policy. O awareness naman yun. Training also is given to the people who are part of implementing security controls. Like yung incident response team ninyo. May incident management naman kasi security, di ba? Or yung inyong mga internal auditors on security para mas gumaling sila sa trabaho nila. Training and awareness is important because the success of your ISMS relies on the training and awareness na ibibigay nyo sa inyong organization. The secret to success of an ISMS is lahat ng tao sa opisina nyo aware kung ano ang roles and responsibilities nila and proactive nilang susuportahan nila ang ISMS nyo.